language of chemistry, which is the first chapter. And before going deep into this chapter, first we have to recap what we have studied in smaller classes, some basic things. And before going into those basic things, let us see what all things we have to study in this chapter. First of all, we have to study what are symbols. What are symbols? What is valency? What are radicals? What are compounds? What is a chemical equation? What do you mean by atomic mass? What do you mean by molecular mass? And how we can calculate molecular mass of a substance? Then lastly, this one is the numerical part, that is calculation of percentage composition of a compound. All these topics we will study one by one. First, just recall what all things we studied in smaller classes. Here, we know that whatever things we see around us exist in three states, isn't it? It may be either solid, liquid, or gas. And these three things are known as the states of matter. Now, what is matter? Anything that has mass and occupies space is known as matter. Then, matter is made of small invisible particles called atoms. Matter is made of small invisible particles called atoms. Now, on the side you can see this is an atom. Atom look like this. And atom has a central part here. This central part is known as the nucleus. Atom has a central part, and that central part is called nucleus. Inside nucleus we have positively charged proton and chargeless or neutral neutrons. These two things constitute the nucleus. And around the nucleus you can see certain paths here. This elliptical paths. These elliptical paths are known as the orbitals. These are the orbitals. So in orbitals you can see certain small dots here. These small dots. These small dots are nothing but electrons. So electrons move around these orbitals to these specific paths. This is how an atom looks like. So what is atom? Atom is the smallest particle of an element which may or may not exist independently but can take part in a chemical reaction. It is the smallest part of an element. We will study in this chapter itself, which may or may not exist independently but can take part in a chemical reaction. And what are the constituents of an atom? An atom consists of a central nucleus. Inside the nucleus we can see positively charged protons and chargeless or neutral neutrons. And around the nucleus we can see these elliptical orbits. Those orbitals contains electrons which are negatively charged. Negatively charged electrons move around these orbitals. Next, we know that a group of atoms join together to form what is known as a molecule. This is how a molecule looks like. This is a molecule. And here you can see that molecules are a group of atoms, and these colored small balls are the atoms, and these atoms are connected together. You can see here these atoms are connected together by chemical bonds. Okay, molecules contains group of atoms which are chemically bonded together, and these molecules are considered as the basic unit of matter. The question might come, why molecules are considered as the basic unit of matter and not atoms? What is the reason? It is because they can exist independently. That means without the help of any other thing they can exist independently, but atoms cannot. All atoms cannot exist independently. We know that oxygen, when you have studied that oxygen always appears in the form O2 alone. You cannot find this is oxygen atom, this is oxygen molecule. How this is formed? Two oxygen molecules combine together to form an atom of oxygen, with another atom forms molecule of oxygen. Atom of oxygen does not or cannot exist independently. Only oxygen molecule exists independently. That is why molecule is considered as the basic unit of matter. Like oxygen, hydrogen also exists in H2 form. Such atoms which cannot exist independently but they exist as molecules are known as diatomic molecules. They are known as the diatomic molecules. Oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, all are examples of diatomic molecules because they cannot exist independently. Since molecules can exist independently, they are considered as the basic unit of matter. The question might come. Okay, hope it is clear. Okay, now let us move forward. Then what is a diatomic? An element having two or more atoms in their molecules, like O2H2, they are called diatomic. Then helium, neon, argon, they have only one atom, and these atoms can exist independently. Such atoms are known as such elements are known as monoatomic. Then anything above 2 are called polyatomic. Ozone, O3 is ozone. Ozone is O3, where 3 oxygen atoms combine together to form ozone. Sometimes it is also called triatomic. Then here phosphorus, P4, it is polyatomic. So monoatomic, diatomic, polyatomic. Mono, only one atom. Diatomic, 2 atoms. Polyatomic, more than 2. And you have to study an important term. The number of atoms in a molecule of an element is called its atomicity. Here oxygen, the number of atoms is 2, so its atomicity is 2. And in phosphorus, number of atoms of phosphorus is 4. So what is the atomicity of phosphorus, or how many atoms are there in P4? 4 atoms of phosphorus. So the number of atoms in a molecule of an element is called its atomicity. Now the question comes, what is an element? We have heard about this different types of metals, different gases, isn't it? For example, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, all these things are the gases that we already know or already we have heard of. Now on this side you can see a table is given. All the things that we come across in our daily life, you can see some of the familiar names here, and this table is known as the periodic table. This periodic table contains the name of the things like metals, non-metals, gases, all those things. And 118 elements have already discovered, and these 118 elements are arranged in this periodic table so as to make our studies easier. There are 118 elements that discovered, and by arranging this we can make our study easily. How you will study later. And what is an element? An element is a simple and pure form of matter which we cannot be broken down or split into simpler substances. An element is the basic thing or the basic unit which we cannot split into smaller units or smaller substances. For example, You cannot this break this hydrogen into smaller substances. It is the final unit, you cannot break it. But you know what is H2O? What is H2O? It is water. When electricity is passed through the water, when electricity is passed through water, it splits into H2 and O2. It splits into H2 and O2. Okay, so this thing which can be broken down into its constituent particles or constituent elements is known as a compound. So what is a compound? A compound is a substance formed by the chemical combination of two or more elements in a fixed proportion. Fixed proportion means water is formed with 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. Water cannot be formed by 3 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, 3 hydrogen or 2 oxygen. It is not possible. Always it is formed in the ratio of 2:1. So compounds are, how compounds are formed? Compounds are formed by 2 or more elements joined together, and we can break this compound into its constituent elements. So that is the difference between element and a compound. So what is an element? It is the simplest and pure form of matter which cannot be broken down or split into simpler substances. Then what is a compound? A compound is substance formed by 2 or more elements through chemical combination in a fixed proportion or in a fixed ratio. Hope it is clear.